Sara Dietschy is a YouTuber and entrepreneur with over 870,000 subscribers, an extremely interesting story, and a rather unorthodox rise to success.
In this episode, we discuss how she makes
$800K
with her unique YouTube strategy and talk about her startup that has raised over $250,000 and is launching in the next couple of months.
And here's a hint, there's a lot more than meets the eye.
I'm going through some drama with him right now.
So if this is something you're interested in and you want to see more like it, make sure to subscribe because we post new episodes every single Sunday, and they all have to do with making money, personal finance, building up a business, and just becoming wealthier. Did I miss anything, Jack?
I think that's great. Let's get on to the episode.
All right, enjoy.
But before we get into that, we want to thank today's sponsor, Moomoo. Moomoo is an advanced one-stop trading app that not only allows investors to do everything they need, but it also provides a community to exchange ideas.
Moomoo helps you monitor market movements, perform deep technical analysis, quickly screen for stocks, and provides a community where traders can exchange ideas. They also give you access to global assets, meaning you'll be able to trade in Hong Kong and US stocks, all from the same fantastic app.
And that's just another really great feature that sets Moomoo apart from everybody else. And best of all, when you deposit just $100, Moomoo will give you 6 free stocks.
And each stock is worth between $800 and $2,500. That's literally free money.
And Moomoo doesn't just allow you to buy and sell stocks, they also give you access to so many other really cool features that allow you to take your trading game to a whole new level.
Like their real-time level 2 trading data for the US stock market, which displays up to 60 levels of bids and asks.
Which also gives you real-time quotes and helps you gain a deeper understanding of the market. So get up to 10 free stocks with Moomoo today using that link down below in the description.
Again, guys, the link is down below in the description to get up to 10 free stocks with Moomoo.
It also really helps support the podcast. Thank you so much, Moomoo, and back to the podcast. Show. Unpart them?
Yeah. Oh, Jack. Are you serious?
Oh, I got it on camera.
Oh. This is not the first glass I've broken of glass.
Oh my gosh, out of control. What's up? My name is Sara Dietschy, rhymes with Peachy. This is the Iced Coffee Hour. And you guys have made $251,000.
Close. $257,000.
Oh, wow. I mean,
$1,000.
Is that the closest?
I think is that the closest?
I think so.
That's either the closest or the second closest.
Yeah. It's really not that hard. All you really have to do is watch the last episode
and
then
like
add it. Yeah.
Like
if that. That's all you gotta do.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, welcome. Thank you so much for coming here. You are a college dropout tech YouTuber. Making money,
that you
making
led,
products.
Led with college dropout because it's very timely with the news today. But so I've been thinking about it, but haven't thought about it in a while.
Oh, that's a good question. Did you, because you went to college for a little bit, did you have any debt?
No. So that's actually what led to the dropping out because I had a scholarship.
Okay.
So I had an electrical engineering scholarship. I went to UTA, if there's any Texans out there. And I did that for about 2.5 years, but it's very hard to maintain a 3.5 GPA when you're studying doubly. And so I lost it. I also hated electrical engineering. So I was like, I want to try something new. I went to Belmont randomly because I like Nashville. Changed my major to computer science. Didn't have a scholarship anymore. One semester was $15,000. And I had to pay that out of pocket. So I had no money after one semester. And I was like, this is stupid. I'm not learning anything. Video thing was working out. And then I dropped out. So yeah, no debt.
Would it have changed knowing that $10,000 would have been forgiven? That would be another semester. That wouldn't have pushed you over the edge to be like, I'm going to continue a little bit longer.
And I will say, I feel like I was one of those people who, once this started to be a conversation about debt relief, there was a little part of me of like, man, I altered my entire life because I didn't want to go into debt. So it doesn't seem fair. But at the same time, I'm like, I wouldn't be where I was today without that. And I'm like, I feel like everyone would be better off without the crippling debt. So now I'm like, it'd be great if in a perfect world, it didn't affect other things, you know?
Sure.
But, you know, inflation is a hot topic right now. So who knows what that would do. But I just hate everything to do with college. I graduated top 10%. I got good grades. I knew I had a little money in college, but I knew it wasn't going to pay for 4 years. So I was like, I need to do well in high school so I can get a scholarship. And so I was always ticking those boxes and, you know, go home to Christmas and be like, hey, grandma and grandpa, electrical engineering degree, doing good. So I did feel that pressure, but it got to a point where it was so overwhelming. I loved making videos. It was just a matter of time. How can I make this my job? So it took me 3 years of doing it on the side to figure it out. And then I dropped out with only 4,000 YouTube subscribers.
How much were you making at the time from YouTube?
It wasn't a thing. So I had clients with a agency in Nashville. So I basically linked up with a local photographer who I did like a docuseries on that got like 1,000 views, you know. He had some already existing clients at like a creative agency. He had no idea how to do video, but he was kind of like, hey, this girl knows what she's doing. So if I take my high paying clients and say, hey, we do video now, looking back, it was a terrible deal for me. I would do all of the work and he'd pay me like $500 or $1,000. And I would be like shooting, editing, doing everything. And he would just be on set being like, looks good, but it paid my rent. You know, my rent in Nashville is like $600.
So you're doing contract work at the time, just to get this clear.
Yes. And it was one of those things where I was posting YouTube every single week. I was obsessed with it. I was like, I have to make this my job. And I was doing so many things. I was going to like all the conferences, and there was a conference called Adobe Max in LA. And I had a friend's cousin who we had gone to LA and visited. And so it was like a free place to stay. And so I was like, okay. They had college pricing for the conference, and I was like, that's $300, so I can figure that out. And I have a free place to stay. And I went there, made a lot of cool connections, met someone at Adobe, learned about this thing called the Adobe Creative Residency. So basically, in a span of like 6 months, I dropped out of college, was doing like the side work, was going ham on YouTube with only 4,000 subscribers. But then I kind of, long story short, connected some dots, got this thing called the Adobe Creative Residency, where they pay you for a year to just be creative and share the process along the way. And literally when I was in the interviews, the final interviews for that, I made my viral video about Casey Neistat. And so all of a sudden I had like essentially a contract for a year that just paid me a salary. And I went from 4,000 subscribers to 100,000 subscribers in the span of 2 days. And I was like, okay, it's go time. And yeah, the rest is history. So it was 2016.
What was the Casey Neistat video?
Yes. So it was like a parody on his vlog. So he had just hit, I think, 1 million subscribers. It was in, I guess, somewhat the beginning days. And I was obsessed with his videos like everyone else. And I was just in Nashville and I was making videos every week. So I was like, this week's video, I'm going to make a parody. And it went super viral. So it was like a 4-minute video of me talking, being quirky like Casey does. I don't know how to describe it. It's very cringe. Watching it back now, it is so cringe. But yeah, he shouted it out in his video the next day. And I was sitting in Nashville on a job. And I think it was like interviews for this thing called the Bible Bee. Have you heard of that?
No.
It's where people get together and answer questions about the Bible, and it's like a game show. And so I got this job where I was doing interviews with everyone from the Bible Bee, and I was sitting there and like my phone was blowing up. I was like, what's going on? And all I saw was a comment from Casey, and he said OMG when the video had like 500 views, and I was like, huh. And so I was like shaking, during the interview. And yeah, the next day he posted the video, and then I posted another video that was like 0 to 40,000 subscribers in one day. And then that second video blew up, and then I started daily vlogging. That was a mess. And then I came back around to tech. Yeah.
So was your growth because Casey Neistat shouted it out, or because the algorithm was pushing the video?
So definitely Casey shouted me out. I was like one of his first big shout outs. And it was like peak Casey, where of course he didn't have as many subscribers as he does now, but the million people that were watching him were obsessed. For people who found Casey in 2015, 2016, you're just obsessed, right? So if he tells you to go watch someone, it was instant. It was crazy. But I will say, and I guess maybe this is the one practical thing people can get from this, I had been posting videos since 2011. And I had just come off like a second season of Creative Spaces TVs, like my docuseries on creative people. And I had a whole series of that to post right after he shouted me out. So I had that. I had all these tech reviews. So I had a huge back catalog of content with like 1,000 views for people to watch. So I think that helped. People saw my channel. They're like, oh, she actually makes good stuff. They stayed.
Sure.
And yeah.
How much did you make from that?
So the Casey video?
Yeah.
I actually have no idea. Should I check?
Yeah, let's see.
I didn't even... AdSense is definitely not my main driver. Let's see. Is there like data from 2016? I can't find it.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
So you click so estimated revenue, and then you go. Oh, Jack.
Your fingers already hovering over where it goes.
Sorry, I clicked the wrong one. Okay, so lifetime. So you made, and I'm cool just to screenshot this one. Okay. Oh, I thought it was going to be way more. So it made $1,793.64.
Off of how many views, Graham?
Yeah, let me tell you.
I think 2.1 million.
Yeah, 2.1 million.
That is crazy.
Yeah. To be fair, I don't think I had monetization turned on in the beginning.
There you go.
Because I was of this belief that I just want people to watch my videos.
Yep.
And I don't want something distracting them from watching my video.
Sure.
So I didn't turn on monetization until I think a little bit later. But I obviously turned it on later. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
How did you keep that audience though?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay. It was hard because I had, 100K people come show up. And I wasn't making parodies. I think a lot of people were like, oh, okay, you should start doing this with everyone. You should make a parody of every single YouTuber. But I'm like, that is not me. And so I started vlogging because everyone was daily vlogging. It almost killed me. But so I would daily vlog. I had a new season of Creative Spaces TV I was working on. And in 2016, kind of filmmaking YouTube wasn't a thing yet. But later on, I was kind of camera gear and all this stuff, became really hot. So I was eventually able to kind of ride that wave in 2017. But 2016 was a lot of ups and downs. I was going everywhere with Adobe. I was going to these conferences. I was meeting a ton of people, interviewing people. But in terms of views, it wasn't that much of a priority. As crazy as that sounds, it was more okay, how can I do this Adobe Creative Residency and make cool stuff along the way. So it would be weird. I would post a vlog that would get 15K views, and then I would post something kind of techie, and those occasionally popped off if I, would talk about I got a new MacBook or something like that. And that's what later informed me, okay, go back to tech. Because I was posting videos in 2011, 2012, just unboxing things. And that's when I kind of was daily vlogging is killing you. Stop daily vlogging and just make good stuff. So yeah, it was hard. 2017, 2018 is where I kind of got more of my footing.
What tech did you find did the best?
It was okay. What's crazy is I feel only recently I have a pulse on it. I don't have the most stable YouTube career. It's been just super random, I feel but Apple stuff, did really well. Luckily, it's easy to talk about Apple stuff because I dig it. But I would say the MacBook was a big driver of my channel. In 2016, they did a huge redesign of the butterfly keyboard, the touch bar. I don't know if you guys have one of those MacBooks, but it was terrible. And so I had just built my entire.
I kind of liked it. I'm not gonna lie.
Anyone who likes that thing, I
liked it. I was
so
disappointed
cool.
when the new laptop came in.
Me
without
too.
It.
You see, this
weird.
is Sarah. I just want to chime in here.
Yes.
I'm a techie. You're a techie. They're talking about the touch bar, but they don't know about the tragedy that is the keyboard.
Yes.
And that's what really progressed it to be this chaotic thing.
Yes.
Jack. So remember when I was planning out my videos and the keys would fall off? Pick them up off the floor and then put them back on.
Was that because of the touch bar?
Oh, okay. Well, no. Okay. So they completely redesigned the keyboard to this butterfly keyboard. So in order to make the laptop super, super thin, they completely redesigned it. And it was the worst keyboard that has ever been on a laptop ever. And that was just the beginning of those issues on the computer. So all of a sudden I found myself being I've been a Mac user my entire life. This is the worst laptop I've ever used. So that is kind of what started my trajectory back into tech, because I was racking in really good views, just trashing on the MacBook Pro. So
that is so funny.
Yeah,
I just remember there's countless times I've sat next to Graham while he's typing on his keyboard and his fingers would be a little sticky or something and he'd push down and it'd flick off and it'd shoot across the room.
We'd have to find it.
Yeah, sometimes it would just keep sticking to his fingers and he's
do you still have that laptop?
And put him back down and
oh my
push
God.
it on the keyboard.
I still use it from time to time.
Yeah. So the new MacBooks, they started making changes in 2019, and then the big redesign came last year, and they're amazing now. They brought back the ports.
Yeah, the ports
but-
were fantastic. So I have
Yeah.
all three. So that was the one where the keys fell off.
Yeah.
Then I got the one with the touch bar. I like
Okay.
the touch bar one afterwards.
I liked it too.
And then I got
Yeah.
the newest one as of like, I don't know, 6 months ago.
I like
is
how it
really
has
great.
the SD reader. That's
Yes.
massive.
Me too. It's so
Yeah.
cool to be able to
Yes.
plug it in, and it's so
Exactly.
It's fast,
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
So-
The charging is fantastic. I love
Yeah.
the charging.
The MagSafe.
To be at 5, plug it in, and it's like at 50 within 20
Yeah.
minutes.
Yes. So it's been a journey with the MacBook. They've officially arrived. It's good again. But yeah, it took me a minute to get to that answer, but I would definitely say the MacBook.
Got it.
Me complaining about how terrible the MacBook Pro was kind of like, okay, tech works. I'm going to steer a little bit away from my life because I started to get in the vlog thing where I was like, let's do something cool for the day. So I have like entertainment for the vlog. But this was pre David Dobrik and all that stuff. So it wasn't doing crazy things and buying people cars, you were just trying to make an exciting story out of your day. So, but it still got to me. So yeah, there were a lot of like sleepless nights, 2016, 2017. So I'm glad I found something a little bit more sustainable.
Give us some more tech that you dislike.
Oh goodness. How long do we have?
A lot.
Okay. So I'm going to go the other way first
All right.
because I just made a video that was saying I'm going to pause reviews because we've actually arrived in a place where tech has gotten pretty good. The MacBook, they fixed all the things because, us YouTubers over here just screaming like, hey, this is terrible. Laptops like Windows, PCs, I mean, they've gotten so good that it's one of those things that people make up drama for things. With the new M2 MacBook Air, it's a great redesign of the MacBook Air, but something that happened is the 256 gig version of the M2 MacBook Air, the SSD is slower, and they didn't disclose that on the website. So the big drama with that computer is basically, oh my gosh, like the speeds are a third of if you just bought the 512 version. So that's an example of an actual real problem, but basically tech YouTubers will take that and make like 10 videos about that. And so I was just feeling so fatigued.
Sounds like the stock market.
Yeah.
Graham just does that.
Yeah.
It's just
Graham's fine to
everybody,
do that.
though.
Yeah, he loves when
Yeah.
that
Hey,
happens.
if we're down 1% today, the
Yeah.
market
Yeah.
crashed.
But I will say with financial markets and things, every day you really do have something a little bit new in the news. At least you can talk about them. There might be something with
Enough to
tech.
make the video.
Yeah,
We'll talk about it.
yeah.
10 minutes, we'll discuss something.
Yeah, with tech, you have one product
Yeah.
that comes out and then it's just, it starts a cycle for months and months. So
I can imagine the titles if I did reviews. The
Yeah.
end of the MacBook.
well, okay.
New changes
It's perfect, guys.
explained.
I love it.
Okay.
The end
You
of
know
the
what you would do, Graham?
Yeah.
The MacBook is over again.
Okay, so it's
Suing
funny.
Apple.
It's funny
Once
that you say
more.
that because I'm trying to do a big pivot again away from
Yeah.
reviews and more. Okay, let's take if something is topical, let's take it and extrapolate it out to something like a bigger theme or something like video essays are really big right now. So I did kind of that vibe of a video, and the title was "This is the end of an era for Apple," which is kind of the vibe of what you just said.
That's great. And that's the end of the era that's bad, though. So we're ending a
Yes.
bad era, going into
Yes,
a good era.
exactly.
Okay, got it.
And so that
That's
was
clever.
interesting for me because it was all of a sudden a video that I enjoyed making. And it wasn't linked to something that had just come out because the tech world is crazy. Something will come out and you're like fighting everyone who can get out their video first. And that's complicated even more with an embargo schedule. So certain tech creators will get certain tech before everyone else does, and then they can release their videos at a certain time. And it becomes a rat race, and it's really exhausting. And I became I just felt like I was working for all of these companies without getting paid, if that makes sense. Hey, we'll send you this. Hey, we'll send you that. Okay. And then what date do I have to release it? And, they're not even paying you, but it's because you have the privilege of getting hands-on with this tech before anyone else. You feel obligated to make things. Now I'm like, okay, I'll do that for maybe 2 or 3 companies, but I gotta stop accepting everything because then you're thinking about what the companies are thinking. You're not thinking about what makes a good video, what makes a good title thumbnail. And so now I'm actually kind of taking a step back and being like, okay, what would actually be a good title thumbnail? And it's working.
But
Shocker.
now, let's say they send you something,
Yeah.
and you say something negative. Are they gonna come back and say, "Hey, nope, let's not give her anything anymore"?
It's a fine line.
Okay.
It's a fine line. And that is why oh man. Why am I
Spill the
talking about
tea.
it? Okay. So Tech YouTube is interesting because of that, what you're bringing up, every other year, there's a new phase of YouTubers who come out of the woodworks and just start like slamming tech YouTubers, being like, this person isn't honest because they do embargo videos. And they'll just shit on people for forever, but then they just disappear because that's not good for growing, you know, a following that sticks around. But it's a balance. So people know now, and people have gotten way more honest about it too, tech YouTubers included. So it's just a conversation you have with your audience. Like I tell people there's a very clear line between if something's sponsored, if something's embargoed, if someone sent something to me. And that's also the reason why it's either sponsored or it's a Apple iPhone, or it's something that's so crazy that I can't get my hands on. I can't get my hands on it without the company's help, if that makes sense. Yeah. So there are more, distinct lines drawn, and you have to do that as a creator.
Some of it I've seen that they can't keep what they're sent. Like maybe it's so correct. New, right? They have to give it back.
Yes. Okay. And a lot of the tech is loans. So it's not like you're, of course you're going to be somewhat cognizant of the fact that, a company sent you this, so you're not going to completely shit on it. But at the same time, we're not keeping this tech. So
what could be improved with the tech today?
Oh, goodness.
Let's start with the iPhone. What are the problems with the iPhone?
The problems with the iPhone.
Files. I hate files on the iPhone.
Oh, yeah, downloading. That's bad. Anytime you download something, it disappears. Yeah. I can never find that thing. It's gone.
I will say so I feel like the hardware is fine. I could totally see them coming out with a better telephoto camera. I could see them making the launch, I just combined two words, the notch, less noticeable. It's rumored that they're going to do the punch hole thing, so they're going to get rid of the notch. So it'll just be, instead of that notch, it'll be a punch hole camera.
That's cool.
But we'll see. It's right around the corner. And so I feel like the hardware is good. Since I use the iPad a lot, some of the new iPad OS updates have me a little worried because they're trying to have this balance between, is your iPad a computer or is it an iPad? So they just released a feature where you have actual window management now, where you don't just have split view with apps, but you can kind of open up 4 apps at one time and switch in between them. It's called Stage Manager. And that's them trying to make the iPad a computer, but it's just using it in the beta. It's not there yet. So for me, I think the only interesting thing is like the iPad and the software and where that's going to go. But again, to my other point, I'm kind of just like, I'm good. And that's why as like a tech YouTuber, I'm trying to find more interesting stories to tell. Cause I don't know. I feel like I'm good.
Can I share my interesting qualms about the iPhone?
Yes,
and
please.
I think you will relate to me.
Yeah.
Before I do that, I just want to mention Lex, our official card sponsor of the podcast.
Hey.
But the podcast of you, Alex.
Okay,
they're
sorry,
your official sponsor.
They're my official sponsor, and I record the podcast. So anyway, I think so. For those of you that don't know, I was an Apple certified technician many years ago, and my biggest qualm with Apple is repairability and right to repair. And I think that a lot of people don't realize this, but like your charge port, back when there used to be a headphone jack, whatever, they all used to be replaceable, and they still are replaceable. But Apple will refuse to provide those parts. And so let's say you break your charger, even though it's on a separate board, which is a very common problem, they'll just like, and I'm sure a lot of people have experienced it. You go into Apple and they're like, we can't fix it. We'll buy your phone for this much and you need to upgrade, or they'll give you a refurbished product. And then that creates, a mountain of junk in another country. What do you think about that?
Oof. Okay, so that has been the biggest talking point the past couple of years. So there's a great YouTube channel by a guy of the name Louis Rossmann who covers a lot of this. And it has become such a talking point that Apple has actually done things to address it, granted, maybe not in the most perfect way, but recently they basically announced a self-repair program where they will literally send you all of the gear that it takes to replace a battery or to replace certain aspects of your phone. It's not everything. So they'll send you the manual, they'll send you the official gear that it takes to do the self-repair yourself for, a certain low fee. So they are doing things to remedy that. So it is cool to see that they are starting that. Because yeah, you're right. It can be an issue, and they lock down, computers to make them harder to repair. But yeah, they are taking steps. So hopefully they can continue with that.
What do you think of Apple coming out with a car?
Oh gosh, it concerns me how it's just it seems like they're just rotating engineers out of there. I feel like a lot of important people have been a part of the project and then they just leave. So it's one of those things that Apple doesn't do things unless they can do them right. So I can see them working on it for the next 10 years and not releasing it until 10 years. It's the same thing with the VR headset. I feel like they do not want to release their headset until it's perfect, until it's more lightweight than the Oculus, until people can actually have it on for hours at a time and not get a headache, until they can get the resolution right. So it's one of those things where it's like, I would love to see an Apple car, but we might be waiting like another 5 to 10 years, or who knows if it'll come out. If they can't do it right, they're not going to release it. But they've poured a lot of money into it.
That's one of the things I'm not a fan of with the Oculus is that I love the theater mode where it feels like you're in a movie theater, but there's still something odd about the screen where it's like you see the pixels. Mm-hmm. It doesn't quite look it's like a TV.
Exactly. And that's something that's, I got the opportunity to interview the Zuck, which was fun. And, that's something that he said is it's like all about iterations. Like resolution will get better. The headsets will get lightweight. They have, a lot of different, prototypes with all those things, but it's just like the tech isn't quite there yet. But I will say I judged the Oculus hard. I was like, this is so stupid. I'm never like, who is going to do this? But when I gave it another shot with the Quest 2, I became obsessed for like a week and then I set it down and never used it again. But I can totally see, I'm like, this is crazy. Like, this is crazy playing putt-putt with your friends and it feels like they're right there. And so, it just has to get more lightweight. The resolution has to.
What was that like meeting Mark Zuckerberg?
It was extremely nerve-wracking. Like, we had like a pre-call, which helped. So I feel like I was more nervous about that pre-call. But it was really cool. I mean, I know it's kind of cliched to say this, but it's like when you're talking to someone, you're like, oh, they're just a human like me, right? But it's like all the memes about him being a robot and an alien, it gets in your head. But he's actually normal.
Really?
He's very normal, I mean, should I say normal? Because he's not normal.
How is he weird then? Or not weird, just not sorry, I should say.
I mean, it was a very isolated, we had the pre-call and then the moment we got on that Zoom, the interview started because I only had 25 minutes. So I had, my list of questions. But I think probably the most like part where I was so nervous was like towards the end. He said something where I was like, I need a follow-up to that question because that doesn't seem, it was my time to actually be like, ask a smart question, because we started talking about creators and he was talking about monetization. And I feel like one thing Facebook and Instagram do really bad is they just take all the money. They put ads in your stories, they put ads everywhere, but they don't share with creators the way YouTube does. And so he mentioned, in the VR world, we're doing these things like ticketed events and blah, blah, blah. But that is still, the creator has to bring the audience and then Facebook is taking that cut. What about all the ads that are going to be in our metaverse? Aren't you going to like do a profit share? So I think I didn't really get, so I got that question in at the very end, which I wanted to actually hear. So it was cool to be able to ask the man actually in charge of that stuff an actual question you have. But yeah, interviews like that are just, you're nervous in the beginning and then you start talking and it's fine.
What did he say?
Well, he skirted the question, which was a little disappointing. And he didn't say, he just went back to the model of creators can sell merch, creators can hold events, they can do all these things. And that was just a little disappointing to hear because, again, that is creators bringing their audience and then Facebook taking a cut. It's like, you guys got to do the work that YouTube has. And if you want creators to stay on your platform and all the drama that's happening with Instagram right now, you have to make it a platform where people can not just like earn a living, but also feel like they have a shot at getting views and likes and engagement. So, yeah.
How did you even get an interview with Mark Zuckerberg?
Yeah. Oh, man. I think, so I had a podcast, That Creative Life, that lasted for about like 125 episodes. So I had a lot of like serendipity going for me. And I'm sure you guys have seen it with the Iced Coffee Hour. When you start interviewing people, you know, you're having like deep conversations with people. You're building a ton of relationships. And I'm sure that then puts in people's heads that, you know, are doing cool things like, oh, I should hit up Graham for that. I should hit up Jack for that. And so that was just like a serendipity thing. Previously for my podcast, I had interviewed like a Facebook executive about the Ray-Ban stories. And so I got linked with, you know, people at Facebook. One of the people who worked with this guy, Boz, who's now the CTO, previously worked at Fullscreen, where I used to be a part of Fullscreen and my manager used to work there. And so it was one of those things where just like, you know, like, oh, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. And you like kind of like strike up, you know, just like a casual relationship. And then when an opportunity comes up where like, hey, Mark is doing a couple interviews, would Sara be down? They hit us up. And I was one of only like 3 interviews. I think it was like me, Gary Vee, and another podcast that he did.
Wow.
So yeah, it was
impressive.
Pretty cool. So I've interviewed a lot of great people, but the podcast just became a little too much booking guests, and I'm sure you guys like know the stress of running a podcast. But I do miss it talking to people. Yeah. So this is my new thing that I want to do. I just want to go on other people's podcasts and talk.
It's a lot easier. You just show up and hey, you're done.
Exactly.
What do you think of the new Instagram algorithm? It's just showing videos now, which chances are maybe we could clip this as a video as an example of you know, Instagram's pushing videos right now.
And it's hilarious. I mean, my story views got cut into a third. Like overnight, which is great. Luckily, most of my business is like YouTube and then Twitter too. I just did a Kickstarter where I only posted to Twitter. It was only Twitter and Instagram. And we raised like $150,000 before I even posted my YouTube video, which is crazy. But Instagram, I don't have a super big connection with just because I feel like I saw it coming because Facebook did the thing where they ruined your organic reach. Facebook bought Instagram. Where do you think Instagram's going to go? So I totally understand people's frustration and I wish it could be different. Luckily, I don't know. I'll sit there and watch Reels forever. It's TikTok content. It's funny. I get sucked into like, oh, that'd be a fun sound to use. So, I think if I needed to, I could make a pivot into Reels. But I could definitely understand how it's fudging over photographers. And I totally get their frustration. But
I heard the new thing that all you have to do now is turn the picture into a video.
Yeah.
People are posting I see Hormozy doing this all the time. Yeah. He tweets something, screenshots the tweet, and then posts it as a reel.
Oh, a reel.
Does that work?
I will say, I think the more important issue is monetization. What we were talking about earlier, the problem with TikTok, the problem with Instagram, is everything is being condensed into this short form crap sometimes. I'm sorry. And then there is no payoff. I know YouTube Shorts channels that pull in hundreds of millions of views per month, but they can only sell 2 t-shirts. Mm-hmm. I know TikTokers like that. At the end of the day, people are just like giving these platforms free engagement. They're giving these platforms all of their time, but they're not getting anything in return, which is concerning.
Tell us about this Kickstarter you did.
Okay.
What did you raise?
Yes. So we're day 3. So Lab 22, it's a premium desk accessory brand. And it all started with, I'm obsessed with my iPad, right? But you can, oh gosh, I just clicked on one of my videos. But a lot of people start using iPads as like second screens to computers, and they just leave iPads up and use them as a computer. But I'm like, guys, it's an iPad. Use it as an iPad. So the iPad stand is great because it's super flexible. You can bring it down to note-taking position, and it's just really solid. It's like a chunk of metal. And so it's just super sturdy. A lot of people just have plastic junk from Amazon. And then we also have a phone stand and a headphone stand. And so we just launched on Kickstarter 3 days ago. And last time I checked, it was around $220,000 that we raised. So it's been like a whirlwind. It has been like when all of your validation is if your video is like 10 out of 10 or 1 out of 10, to have something outside of that, to be like, oh my gosh, like people do, still care about me or watch my stuff, but also, oh, I made a product that actually people want, which has been like extremely validating. But it's been over a year in the making. So yeah.
So how much is that going to cost to make? What are you going to sell it for? How much are you going to
make? So the stand is a really great price right now. It's about $119.
$119?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Phone stand is a little bit more pricey. Headphone stand is, let's see, phone stand I think is $149. I should know this, but there's dual charging, so it's MagSafe. So MagSafe compatible phones, it basically magnetizes, it holds your phone, it charges it at the same time, and then down below you can put AirPods or Qi wireless charging, and then the headphone stand. So making stuff is very hard right now. That's why it took us over a year. We were supposed to launch in February, but as you can, supply chain shortages and stuff like that, it's taken a long time. Things have gotten so expensive to make. And so if you do want to make something that isn't just a hunk of plastic, it costs, and it cost a ton to ship it back, and then the taxes. And I think something interesting, if people don't know about this, that makes products even more expensive if you're making them overseas, is that Trump tariff. So when that came into play, I don't know the exact percentage, but it adds almost like $20-$25 onto our products because we're shipping them from overseas, just from that tariff alone. So there's just so many things you have to worry about. So I'm a little tired, but I'm excited because, it got an amazing response. So it's been fun to make something in the physical because I'm so used to just videos. So, and I'm sure you guys had it with a coffee, I feel like, right? I'm sure that was a cool process.
Yeah. It was definitely more work than I expected.
Yeah, it always is, right?
I'll tease it here, Jeff. We're coming out with what?
Oh, let's hear it.
You want to hear it?
Yeah.
Plug.
Okay. We are coming out with tea.
Oh, that is so
yeah.
great. That is so great.
You drink tea?
What kind?
A little bit. Macy's a tea. You know what? Macy drinks the tea.
Yeah.
Macy drinks. But you know what? The one comment that I got the most often on those coffee videos where it come out with the tea, it's been do the pods.
Mhm.
Pods are really expensive, but pods and tea. The tea is much better profit margins.
Yeah.
It's cheaper to ship. There's a lot of benefits with tea. Didn't you buy a condo? You renovated it. You flipped it. What happened with that?
Okay, guys, I got to take a sip of water to prepare for this.
You should do a loud sip. Like a...
Yeah. Alex, add some very
Do you know
dramatic.
sipping is contagious like yawning?
I don't believe
No,
that
it's
at
not.
all.
Yeah, it is.
I don't believe
It
that
is.
at all.
Drinking
It
water.
is.
Yeah, when I saw you went to go drink some water, I wanted to.
I
And
thought
then
you were
did
doing
too.
it. No, I was doing it for the sip sound.
It's contagious, just like yawning.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it
You
is.
know what? I'm thirsty now.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. As soon as you see someone drink their water, you want to
I'll
drink
pay
water.
attention to it now.
That is so funny.
Please do.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
You know what? You got to do that though. You got to do that at a restaurant and look around at a table and see if one person picks up the drink. Do
Certainly.
other people?
Yeah.
Guarantee you, yeah.
I don't think so.
Okay, guys, the
Don't
condo.
look it up.
All right, keep with your story.
Keep with your story.
Jask.
Tell our guests what's
sorry. Let's hear the rest of the story. The condo.
So, okay. We moved from New York to Texas. I'm from Texas originally. I lived in New York for 5 to 6 years. Did the YouTube thing, the city life. I loved it. COVID brought us back because, it was kind of crazy. You good, bro?
Oh, yeah. Continue with the story. Go on. Get with the story.
Jack is having issues with water today.
I know. I'm really having issues with water.
What happened with it?
I went to go drink another time, and I was like, and then I forgot. Yeah. All right, just keep.
Yeah, I
continue.
didn't.
Yeah.
It's
Continue
not.
with the story.
So, we were, I watched Graham Stephan videos. I gotta buy something, right? I thought we weren't prepared for a single family home yet though. Cause my fiance and I, we have lived in apartments, our entire time we've been together for 5 years. So I was like, do we want to mow a yard? Do we, and we like cool stuff. We like being on top of coffee shops and restaurants. We kind of want New York living, but in Texas. So we found a really cool place that I'm not going to name, that was super cool. Loft vibes, concrete floors. Kevin was angry at me because I actually took up hardwood floors and did polished concrete because I wanted
I like
to.
the polished concrete
Yeah, I like it
a lot.
too. Okay, thank you. People
Yeah, I
roasted
love
me
it.
for that because I spent $10K on that, but it was
How many
like
square feet?
1,900.
Not terrible.
Yeah. So did that. We redid the kitchen, but again, this was peak reno time when everyone was doing it. And so finding a contractor, all of those things, it just took way longer than we thought it was going to. But we closed on this condo February of 2021. I don't know if you guys remember what was happening in Texas during this time, but it was the iconic winter storm that came through.
Oh, the ice storm.
The ice
right?
storm.
Yeah.
It
the power
wreaked
outages too, right?
havoc.
Yeah.
Yes. And so we were still stuck in New York. We couldn't get a flight to Texas. You know, we had just closed this condo. We were moving. So we were stuck in a hotel for a week while we were just like hearing all of this crazy stuff happening. The building flooded. So we had just closed on the condo and like half the building flooded. So we were like, is our condo ruined? What is going on? And so luckily the water damage went like right up to our place. So all of the hallways, so the hallways in the actual building, the drywall had to get completely stripped.
This might be a stupid question.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it have been better for your unit to be flooded? Because the insurance company would then have to pay out a pretty hefty amount, right?
So
and you could just take
I'll
a
get to
payout
that.
and put that into the renovations.
I'll get to that because things escalate from here. Hallways are completely trashed because all the pipes burst. And so they ripped up all the carpet, all the drywall had to be redone. It was chaos. So we finally move into our condo. We're like, okay, thank goodness we weren't flooded, but oh my gosh, the hallways look terrible. The building is like kind of in shambles. There's a new problem every day. Like the AC is breaking. So right off the bat, we're having to like replace the water heater. We're having to replace our fridge. It got zapped with all the power outages and stuff. So many things instantly went wrong. And then we get slapped with a special assessment for the building because all of the hallways and stuff got flooded. And, you know, the insurance wasn't covering everything. But so let's say now we're entering a time where I'm talking about a hypothetical condo. Okay. So this is just a story time about a hypothetical condo that's not mine because I don't know if I can get in trouble for this, but so a condo like ours. Yeah. So this is where the chaos starts. People were not stoked on the special assessment fee because guess how much it was? So there's 200 units. We're one unit, 1,900 square feet, a 2-bedroom one. Guess how much our fee was?
Minus 15 grand.
Yeah, $17K.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So luckily, because we had insurance, it covered like $15K of that. But we didn't know that because the insurance process for that was so chaotic. All of a sudden, the condo starts rolling in other things where they want to do renovations. Like they want to, okay, guys, you know, carpets need to be replaced. So why don't we just like renovate the entire building? So things start to get super complicated. People get angry. Residents decide to sue the HOA board. It's getting super messy. Now they're under litigation. Like almost like 9 months passes. Nothing is getting done. So you walk in the hallways and it looks like you're in a construction zone for that entire time. And this was like a $500,000 condo, you know, in DFW. It was a nice place. Like we shouldn't be living in a construction zone. Everyone's doing construction. So it's so noisy all the time, like people's individual units. And so the lawsuit thing happens and I'm going to meetings. It is chaos. People are screaming at each other. Like a guy on the board was like, you effing bitch, you need to sit down. Like it got heated. These are all 50 to 70-year-old, you know, people. We're like the youngest people there. It's so not our crowd. It's just exhausting. And so the lawsuit basically halts all renovations. And it was a year and a half and just problem after problem. I mean, I would be here all day if I was describing more issues, more payments, like more special assessments. And so it got to a point, you know, interest rates were about to hike. And I was just like, if we want to get out of this, because I'm so stressed out, my main job needs to just be making videos, not worrying about, you know, drama with the HOA. Like right now would be the time to do it. We just renovated. It looks nice. Okay. So we just couldn't handle it. We sold it. We basically got most of our down payment back, but yeah, the kitchen renovation, that's down the hole. You know, the money I spent on that. So
how much did you lose on that after
probably
like realtor
lost, fees and everything? Yeah, probably lost a solid 40, 50K.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
How would
And
you
you
lose money
renovated
though?
it.
If you bought it way back then.
Do you think a buyer wants to go in when the building's in shambles and buy a renovated unit that they have to deal with?
I figured that they would just assume like, you know, it's gonna all.
No.
So no, you have to disclose this stuff too. So that's the thing.
That
you know, we had to
makes sense.
disclose the drama, and so it helped that people are trying to sell their units without the special assessment paid. So luckily we were able to say it's paid for, and they started like giving us the designs. So it was helpful to show, oh, hey, we actually have a direction now. So I am so burnt. I don't think we're renting a townhouse now, and I love it. There's no noise upstairs, you know. So I'm renting until a house just calls our name.
So is a special assessment just like a fee that a HOA can slap on?
Oh, at any time. At any time. And that is why I will never be a part of an HOA ever.
But I thought that they'd take your monthly payment in order to like the joint shared walls or whatever, like all that stuff I thought was covered.
And that's what a lot of the questions of the residents were. What happens to the $800 a month we pay? Where is that money?
$800 a month?
Yeah. And that's okay. And here's the thing. It didn't start that way. So by the time we were leaving, the HOA had been hiked up for a third time too.
What was it when you joined?
600.
The thing is, HOAs are audited. So you have financial statements dating back to the very beginning. And so usually, if there's anything that stands out from that, it's pinpointed, unless they're siphoning money from that.
I will say
unusual.
There's more to the story, though.
Okay.
So, yeah, we had a management company that was managing it. And we were under the impression that there were reserve funds. Turns out there was not. Because the management was mingling funds with, so the way this building was, there's a ton of shops and like shops and restaurants down below. It's a different board for the bottom than it is for the condos that are up top. The management company managed both things, and those boards are separate and the funds should be separate. What they were doing is just adding all the funds together every month. And so if the restaurant across the street had issues or stuff like that, money would be taken from, the condos to fix that. So it was a mess. So in the span of that time, not only was all of that being revealed, but in that span, they fired them because, they did an audit and figured out there was no reserve money left. It was highly mismanaged. And they fired them. And then it was almost like starting at zero. And I was like, I would have stayed because I really love the building if I had faith in the HOA board. But these people, again, are like, picture 70-year-old white dude works at Lockheed Martin making missiles, Texan. It was like a replica of that for like 200 people. And so it's just very like old school. And like I was in, like, I don't want to make fun of, it was just a certain type of person.
Sure.
And they don't want your help. It's my way or the highway. And I was like, this is not a productive environment. This is, I just need out. Someone can come in and just live their life because there's nice amenities. There is a rooftop pool. For people who don't care about this stuff, it's going to be a great life. It'll make for a great rental, but I'm very involved and it just ruined my life.
So what about your failed businesses and startups besides a failed renovation?
Oh my
what
gosh,
else has failed?
I know, so many failures. That's why I'm so glad I had this like Kickstarter thing and there's something actually working, because it's been 2020 hit. And of course, like many others, you're like, what am I doing with my life? Can I make YouTube videos for my entire life? If you are a fan of business content, you kind of get in your head like, oh, I need to be the entrepreneur. I need to like have rental units and do all these things. And so I kind of like got in that mindset and I was just like, okay, let's start stuff. And I just kind of like did a ton of stuff. The point of all of this, it was other people's ideas coming to me and me being like, oh, that sounds cool. Yeah, let me hop on that. And that didn't work out. And like the moment I do something that like was my idea, I was able to pull in a really talented team. I was like, oh, it worked. Cool. So this is the hack, right? But so basically the first thing that I tried to do was one of my buddies in New York City came to me and was like, yo, look at this software. It's super cool. And it was super cool. It was content creation where it would take a pillar piece of content like this podcast and just automatically break up into micro content, which obviously is super valuable, but it was all AI. It was all automatic. And the problem with that is, again, it was his thing. He's the coder. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. Yeah, let me come on. And I can obviously be the marketing and content and all of that brand building. But when you're not working on the product day in, day out, it's just, and you can't have as much say as that person. So, it's going to take different directions. And ultimately, it was a very hard problem to solve because it was all based on transcription. And when you base an app that automatically crops and adds sound effects and does clip splitting and all this stuff on the foundation of a transcript, it gets really messy because the moment you go in and change one word, you like break that timestamp, if that makes sense. I don't think I'm explaining it very well, but if you've heard of that service, I think it's called Descript, or it's where you edit via transcript. You like edit a video by editing text.
Yeah, I saw somebody do an ad for that. It seemed really interesting.
Yeah. So they're doing it probably the best, but I've seen that they're running into the problem as well, because if you go in and add something, say, oh, I didn't say, I said 2 words instead of 1 word, and it's in a block of a sentence, like, how do you assign those timestamps to those new 2 words? So when I say a sentence like this, when you read it transcript, you have timestamps of so is 1 second, 2 milliseconds. The next word is that. But if you go in and edit it, the user does, how do you decide what those new timestamps are? It can get very complicated, but you can say, okay, there's 2 seconds, so you just split evenly. But we were just running into a lot of technical issues. Video is hard with AI. And we were like on year 2, it still wasn't a full product. We would get people to test it out, but it wasn't sticky. Content creators have such a flow that, and this is something I've learned too, is if you have to convince someone to use it, it's not a good product, right? And then I tried to open up a photo video rental studio in Dallas, Texas, and it's actually still going. I filmed my Kickstarter video there, but I did it with a business partner, and it was so much work. When you have 5 different people coming in every single day, it's essentially like you have 5 clients a day that you have to be at their beck and call. And I was like, I could make 1 YouTube video and make 1 brand deal, or I could spend every day, every month for like half of that, if that makes sense. And so ultimately it just made more sense for the business partner to take it over because he was closer to it. He understands it more. But again, the main theme was like people who I love coming up to me, hey, I have this awesome idea. Me being like, yeah, that sounds great. And like, oh, software, people are selling software companies for hundreds of millions of dollars. And me just kind of being naive and almost selfish in a way of wanting that big payout when I'm not even worried about like, hey, is this something that people need? And so I've kind of just like given up on that dream, which has been extremely healthy for me because obviously like, Gary Vee is my homie. Love him. But when you can get so sucked into that content and that's not you, it can actually be kind of bad because I'm not the person who wants a bajillion employees. I do very well on my own. I'll bring in freelancers. And so that's what I've discovered. And it's so much better now. And ironically, I don't want to jinx it, but it just seems like it's even working better. I might end up at, granted a fraction of my main goal, but being more successful. And now I'm like true to myself. I'm not trying to live someone else's dream. I don't want to be CEO, founder of, everyone like wants to put that in their bio, but it's like, I don't want employees.
It doesn't take much to be a CEO. It's like, that's the thing. You can be a CEO of like nothing.
Yeah,
I'm a CEO.
Yeah, Jack's a CEO.
Yeah.
Alex is a CEO of Well, also, I think it lost its meaning.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Back in the old days,
CEO
CEO
and
used to be like, a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh man, he's a CEO.
Yeah.
Now it's just like, oh yeah, he's another e-com guy.
So funny story about that. When I first started my wedding business, I didn't want people or mainly my clients, to be like, oh, he's the CEO. So on my business card, instead of putting a CEO, I think I put either event specialist or like wedding coordinator. But I own the company, so it was like, But I feel like it made it more professional to be honest.
Like wedding analyst would be.
Yeah. So
wedding executive. I feel like that sounds
So
cool.
ambiguous.
So yeah, I think, and especially for people watching this show, I think the most important thing for you is to figure out just what do you actually want. Not everyone can have 100 employees and run, a big tech company because, we all have this. If you're a creator, you at any point, you're like, oh, my YouTube channel can just die, right? You always have that in the back of your brain. So the thought is, I have to build something sustainable outside of me so I can just go retire on a beach and, not have to worry about YouTube. That's like everyone's dream, right? But like, that's not the most practical thing, right? And so you start focusing your energy on this big payout that is you just have to be so in it. And if you don't know how to code, if you don't know, it's a much harder thing than people think. Yeah.
So what type of successful do you want to be?
Yeah, that's the question I've been asking. I just want to make videos.
That's
what I came back to. It took me 4 years of this journey of like, what is the next step? And now I'm like, I want to make videos I want to make. I don't want to feel like I am stuck to reviews, right? So they'll be about tech, but I like filming and editing, so I want to be creative. I just want to make stuff. I don't want full-time employees. That's my biggest revelation from all of this. And I want to make stuff. So, if people are digging like, cool new tech stands, I need it in my life, they need it in theirs, and that's cool. So if there's opportunities like that come about, that I can create, that's what I'm going to do. And if it's not a crazy $100 million payoff, that's okay. I think that's what I realized too.
That.
I don't need a ton of.
That sounds great.
I don't need that much
awesome.
crazy money.
$100 million payoff.
No. I'm just saying the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
What?
For once, normally people come on and they're like,
Graham, I'm with you.
Yeah.
you need to hire out. You need to do this. You need to do this.
No, I don't
And
know.
Sarah's right
Because
here.
Graham, this does not sound like.
Yes.
Yeah, are you kidding me? No, when I started cutting everything, remember that, Jack?
Yeah, I
About
do.
a month ago, I went through and I cut probably 80% of what I was doing, and now all I focus on, the main channel, this second channel, that's it.
And that's changed your perspective
Yeah.
towards all of this?
Yeah,
No
that's
$100 million payout?
No. No, because I realized it.
I love
to,
that.
To get that $100 million payout, you have to put that same attention and focus and passion as I'm putting in my videos in a new business. I'm not interested in that. I have no desire to have employees, build a big business, put my time in that.
Hell
It's
yeah,
like,
Graham.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I hate the responsibility.
Yeah.
I realize I do best when it's just me. I'm responsible for myself. Obviously, I mean, having a great team. So between like Alex and Jack, I would go crazy with a third person. I think it's just like,
and
this is it.
I have
It's a family
management.
here.
I have my lawyers. I have, I have freelancers that I use, but it's a lot of my frustration is someone not delivering, and then I stew. I write notes and I'm like, okay, I'm going to tell them that they did this wrong, but then I never share it because I feel bad. So I am so bad at managing people. And I'm like, well, you don't have to do that. So I'm now making less. And ironically, my views are better because I'm making less videos. I'm spending more time on the title and thumbnail and the concept and making them good, and they're doing better.
That's something that we went and saw Mr. Beast, and that's something that I learned from him is that he's so focused on just making the best video for the main channel, and that's it.
But at
everything
the same
else for him
time,
is aside. But
he has hundreds of employees,
Yes.
and
but he's found other people that he really trusts to delegate. But his focus is just main channel, and the way he works is like if he doesn't make the best videos, everything else fails. So he just needs to make the best videos. Everything else will fall into place.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, I want to keep making the videos because that's where I'm the happiest.
Yeah, same.
Taking anything off of that is just like, at least for now,
And
it's no desire.
And I will say, people underestimate how much time it takes to just make a YouTube video. And so with all of these different side projects that I was doing, I was like, I literally do not have the time for this. So I think people think, oh, if I can make if I can be a successful YouTuber, then I will take that and then make a company from it. But it's like, if you're not really good at operations and delegating, you're just not going to have the time.
No.
And so that's why I've refocused on like, everything has to do 100% with my YouTube channel. And that's how I think ultimately things, will be successful. And
It's been really tough. Alex has dealt with me in terms of delegating. Alex knows how difficult.
Are you still editing the main channel videos?
Yeah.
Alex?
I am. Yeah.
Oh, good job.
Yeah. So I have two questions too.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge fan of your content, and I remember when I was making the vlogs, you commented on one of the vlogs. So as somebody who's at least watched one of the vlogs,
Well, this is the family vlog.
yeah,
Amazing.
what did you think?
Oh, yeah.
What did you think about them? And tell Graham that he's hated for cutting them.
Okay, so I love them, but I think I am okay because I watch a lot of your stuff. Ironically, I watch this to family in the iced coffee hour, but I think what a lot of people have said is like they find you through your main channel videos, but once you're versed on finance, you're good. So you move to the other stuff. And I love the vlogs because I felt like I was getting to know you guys more. But I will say, you guys were saying, oh, this is an opportunity to reach beyond your audience, when I saw it more of a play to go deeper with your already existing audience. So I feel like if those expectations are maybe, aligned a little bit more, maybe it would be more sustainable and fun. But because I can understand how if you want to reach beyond your audience, the vlogs probably aren't going to be the way to do it. Because I was like watching every single one because I was like, oh, what's Macy up to? What's Jack up to? So.
Did you like them more in the beginning or near the end?
So the end was when I was posting 3 times a week, iPhone.
Yeah. I think I watched all of them.
What if you had a preference?
I'm trying to give me some subjects that, because I've slept since then.
We posted once a week with Alex editing through the high edits, and then we went to 3 times a week with me just filming on
what was the, like, because I remember the iPhone, you would like sit on the couch and just talk about posting a video and stuff like that, and that was cool. I liked both. Like, I liked the mix.
Well, I found that the iPhone did significantly better. Subscribers were up. We were losing subscribers posting once a week. And I was like, this is unacceptable. And I'm spending my time doing this. And I'm worried about title thumbnail. And it's taking... So then I just went iPhone. Stopped caring. It did so well. Funny enough, I did my aquarium tour. Started off as a 10 out of 10 by far. And that aquarium tour, by the way, was just a last minute... Macy was like coming home. It was like one take. Yeah, it was all one take. Yeah. Macy was coming home in 20 minutes. I'm like, I have some time. Let me share the aquarium. One take. Post it up, and it's it bombs. Now it's a 2. It's one of it's almost the best performing video out of the last 10 that I posted.
And this is something I'm noticing with YouTube, and this is why I don't get so depressed when I instantly hit like an 8 out of 10 or something, is if you actually make a good video, it now has a long tail. So I'm noticing I do studio tours and stuff. And so I did a studio tour of Austin Evans' place. It didn't do that great, but I was confident in the thumbnail and title. So I just didn't change it. I was like, if this is going to do well, it'll do well. It took a month, but now it's like, 120, 130. And I've been noticing like the past, I would say 3 to 6 months, YouTube is taking more time to find an audience for your video. Sometimes, you'll have a flop, but, I feel like that has been super encouraging for me because it really does feel like something's different. I have a question for you. I actually have, and this is something I've been wondering. Why do you go the route of like percentages instead of like hiring people as like a salary or maybe like a retainer? It seems like you say, oh, if you do this, you get a certain percentage, correct?
That's just Jack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was in the very beginning. The podcast made nothing.
Gotcha.
Like, I knew Jack was going to be at a loss for quite some time with no guarantee of ever making anything back. And in the beginning, I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do that. Never thought anything of it. And I think we were like maybe 8 to 10 episodes in. I was kind of getting tired of it, but I didn't want to like Jack down.
Because
Jack had already
liked it.
It's good incentive.
He put in so much work, and I didn't want to tell him like, hey man, I'm like not feeling it. I don't feel like filming this. So I kept doing it. I'm really glad. But it would have been more advantageous for me financially, probably just to give a salary. But you know what?
Definitely.
Jack really put in so much.
Yeah.
So
and
really, it wouldn't be the same without the way it
that
turned
makes
out.
sense. Because it then gets you stoked, right? Because you feel you're a part of it.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I don't like to see myself as someone that's like purely financially motivated, because I know that there are plenty of other cash grabs around me I could easily be capitalizing on. But at the same point, it's like having a pretty strong financial incentive for the podcast to do well definitely made me work a lot harder. Like, to the point of exhaustion and then past and then some, like, especially when we're really in that growth phase.
You have ownership
like in the first,
over
like,
it.
6 months to like year. Yeah, definitely.
Speaking of money, how much money are you making?
Yeah. Okay.
If you don't
totally.
mind.
When I first reached out to Graham, I was like, I am, the past few years, when everyone was making so much money in 2020, 2021, I was just like freaking out because we were in the middle of Manhattan, and of course the world was going crazy. I had some just weird, I all of a sudden got awful migraines, and I'm still trying to figure out, but just some weird health stuff happened. And then we're moving to Texas. And so much life happened that on 2019, I was like on this trajectory of like, I was doing good. I would say from 2016 to 2019, I started with maybe in 2016, I was making $100K, including that Adobe salary plus, AdSense and little stuff. Salary? I can't share that.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's
How
a
much
livable
was
salary.
Everything else.
It's a livable
Right,
salary.
So everything else is 60, so the Adobe's all right. Gotta work backwards, Jack. You ruined it.
And then each year I was just building. Luckily, because I was doing video work with an agency before, brand deals came really naturally for me. So all of a sudden when I was like, oh, I can put my spin on a, branded video, that's exciting, because I was so used to making videos only for brands. So naturally, I just started doing brand deals, and I'm brand friendly. So it just worked out. And I would say from there, like I was kind of compounding, probably like doubling every year. 2019 was my best year ever, where if you take out lawyer fees, management fees, I probably grossed around $800K.
Wow.
But that was me going ham. I was at conferences every month. I was giving talks. I was doing like 6 to 7 videos a month. Almost all of them were branded. Well, those numbers probably aren't perfect, but, and I was like doing stuff. And so 2019 was really, really good. And like, I just got engaged, start of 2020, everything's looking up. And then 2020 happened and I had a rough time with 2020. So I've kind of been like building back the blocks.
Now, why do you have a rough time in 2022? Besides the mic, was it just the migraines?
Well, it was New York. Okay. First of all, we were so freaked out, because COVID first hit Manhattan, New York. And so dealing with that was crazy. Other things that I don't super want to mention, but just life stuff. And then moving to Texas and the condo was insane. Like, I don't know if I can emphasize how much that stressed me out. And I think it kind of proved to me that I don't know if I ever actually want to own a house. I know I'm telling Graham stuff in that, but yeah, it's like, I get so stressed out by little things. So when something breaks in our townhouse, I just like text the person and it's amazing. And I love that. And so the condo too, there was noise every day. It just made making things so difficult. So I've been slowly building back up. And again, I was trying all those businesses. My focus was super split. And so my income went back to like early days basically. And now I'm like building back up. But now I'm more focused on long-term projects. I don't need, in the beginning, I was like, how do you get back to 2019, Sara? Hire these people, hire the full-time people and scale and do all this. And when I hated my life doing that, I was like, I don't need $800K a year. What do you actually need? I need money for Doordash. I need money to fly first class because I'm a homebody. I hang out with my cat and like to be comfortable. I hate flying. And that's about it. So I'm like, if you make a few 6 figures a year, your life is going to be exactly how you like to live it. And so I think I've kind of just let go of, needing to one up. And I've found my place in a much peaceful place. I have hit $1 million net worth so many times and gone under it just because condo and a lawsuit and so many things. So yeah, that's been fun. But yeah. So I would say I'm floating around that area as general net worth. But I've never shared that. So there you go. Sara Peachy exclusive for the iced coffee hour.
I just had a question I was going to ask. I completely forgot it.
You got so drowned in the numbers, man. They were so good.
So yeah, well, because I wanted to come to this podcast and because people are always like numbers. And so I wanted to drop some numbers.
What was the first time you flew first class?
I remember it so clearly, Graham. So when I was doing the Adobe stuff, I was basically like kind of like an Adobe ambassador. So I was going to conferences probably 3 times a month, which is like very intense. And I could never choose. So I'd be in the back of the plane. I'd be middle seat. That was like the start of like, I need to make money because I'm like, I will never do this again. For some reason, I don't know why it gets so under my skin, like being middle seat of an airplane, having people's arms shove off your arm and you just feeling powerless. But it's like, villain origin stories right there. But being sarcastic. So right after that, I remember having a little bit of YouTube money and signing up for my first fancy credit card. So I got the Delta, what is it called? I still have it today.
Sky Miles.
It's it's the Delta Amex Sky Miles. Sure. And I started building up points and, I bought an upgrade with miles and that was probably like 2017. And I was going to a conference and a company basically paid. Now I have more leverage. If a company ever wants me to travel anywhere, I don't do it unless it's first class because I just stay home, like COVID taught us you can do everything at home. But yeah, back in the day, a company wouldn't do that. And I upgraded with the help of that card. And I was like, yes, I think it was a trip to New York when I wasn't living there yet. So I think that was actually 2016. So it was the end of my residency. But yeah, and I've never gone back.
Yeah, you can't not fly first class.
I have a quick...
I flew first class. So I went last minute to surprise Macy and her family at Disneyland in Florida. And the first class option was like not that much more. Yeah. And so I just did it. Because I figured, I may as well experience this. It's incredible. I got so much work done.
Yeah, and that's the thing too that I do in my head. I'm like, the ROI of having a guaranteed plug, of having space, is I do my best email work on a plane. So it's actually extremely productive too. On the way here, I organized my entire desktop of my computer. I have no more screenshots on my desktop.
There you go.
Wow. It was so productive.
Oh, yeah, you should see mine. You know mine. Mine's all screenshots, but they stack on top of each other.
Yeah. So that's my one splurge. And then if you want more numbers, I looked at how much I spent on Doordash last year. So bless my accountant. He lays all of this out for me. So last year, I spent, I think it was $14,000 on Doordash. And that's just Doordash. That's not including when I go out to eat. But I don't.
Every meal you're Doordashing?
Almost. Sounds like
Do you have a pantry?
Jet per day?
Do I have a pantry? Actually, no, I don't. I don't have a pantry. My townhouse, we use we had to get a cabinet.
$40 a day on Doordash?
Yeah.
40.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I don't like to be uncomfortable and I don't like to cook. And so I'll tell you my first moment of success in New York was I had just moved there and making, enough cash where I started eating at Sweetgreen, $13 salads every single day for lunch. And because when I moved into my gross New York apartment, I cooked the sad chicken and it was somehow pink and rubbery. And I was just like, I can't do this anymore. And so really it's downhill from here. When I could pay for salads at Sweetgreen, I was like, this is all I need. So So food.
I need to show you guys this clip of you guys talking about first class. I don't know if you guys seen it, but it's Steve Harvey. Okay, check this out.
Pay a little extra money to fly first class. What it does is it conditions your mind. Once you get in first class and you see how wide the seats are, everybody get a washcloth, they got a menu, you get to decide what you want, all the drinks is free. Once you sit in first class one time, the next time you get on a plane, it's very difficult to walk past them seats. And then your mind starts thinking of ways to get back to first class.
Hell
He's talking about like making money.
Okay,
He's talking about making money.
I actually relate.
I don't think that's a great motivator.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are just going to go into debt. They're going to find a way.
Okay, that actually spoke to me though. Unironically. Because that was my motivation. And I remember the first time too that I sat in the 1A, and I was like 1A. I was like just seeing that on my ticket. I was like 1A. I'm gonna live the 1A life, So that was cheesy, but I understand where he's coming from because that actually was a flip that switched in my brain. A switch that flipped in my brain. And now, and it also I'm like good. Now I'm like, when I finally looked around and I was like, the life I'm living right now, I am good with, it changes how you do things.
I've flown not first class after that. Every flight after that has been not first class. Like we went to North Carolina.
Yeah. It
was fine.
Dave Ramsey podcast.
Yeah.
Are you flying first class?
No.
Oh, we're going together?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
If you're not in the middle seat, it's manageable. But that's the one splurge.
It's nice, but I feel like if I were alone, I would do it because then I feel like I just hone in on work. But
wait, can I say one more thing about the Steve Harvey clip?
Yep.
Because I will say too, early in my career as well, when you're like the only young chick, when you're walking in with your like sweats and beanie and you just like don't care, but you like look around and you're with a bunch of like business bros and like you're the only like human that looks like you, I will say it is pretty motivating because like I feel like for me there was power in that because I'm like, I'm important like you.
Major alpha move.
In this seat, And so that's the kind of energy that I guess.
Yeah, what's that like? Being one of the few females?
Being a chick
I feel like
in tech,
YouTube is very male dominated. It seems like that at least.
Yeah.
especially tech.
Yeah, significantly in tech. I will say that the tech space, tech YouTube is amazing. The people I've been able to collab with, they are so supportive. They've been supportive since the beginning. And I feel like they make an effort. The larger world, there can be challenges, but I think my entire life, I've kind of been used to, like, I played electric guitar. I was in a band. So, I was the 13-year-old girl playing electric guitars and being into pedals and amps and stuff. So I've understood kind of this demographic that you have to play in when your interests kind of skew more techie, if that makes sense. So I've had a lot of practice, but there are things that come up collabs that didn't happen because the girlfriend of the person you were supposed to collab with didn't want that to happen because he's not allowed to hang out with another girl. So
what? So you serious?
Yeah, that's literally happened.
Names.
No,
we gotta hear this. I want to hear afterwards.
Yeah. So that rocked me because it was right after the Casey thing. And I was going to all these conferences and stuff, and it was the first big creator that recognized me for my work before. Everyone's like, oh, you're the Casey girl. And this person was like, oh my God, that series that you did and this thing that you did. And they were, he was recognizing work outside of that Casey video. And he was a big creator. So this collab was I was like, this is a really big collab. This is going to be good for me. And we literally filmed it. And he didn't post it because of his girlfriend didn't want it out there. And you have to understand, I don't look like I'm going to go steal your guy, women are more than just vessels of I get it. Yeah. So, right, I get it. So it's that was extremely disappointing. It was the most I was and I'm not going to say where I am because then you can start tracing things back. But I mean, I called my mom. I was bawling my eyes out because business things don't happen sometimes because of that. That can get in the way. And so I guess a practical point for men would just be make it not weird, and it won't be weird. That situation wasn't weird, but for some reason his girlfriend felt uncomfortable. Yeah. And so a lot of times, that responsibility is on the woman, unfortunately. Don't wear promiscuous clothes, don't do this, don't do that, right? Yeah. But then there's also professionalism. So anyways, there's a lot of things.
His girlfriend, or did he tell you that specifically? Because I feel if my girlfriend would act like that, I would not want to tell anyone. Because I'm basically telling my girlfriend's psycho.
He was throwing her under the bus. You guys are gonna.
Are they still together?
You are gonna freak out when I tell you who this is.
Are they still together?
Oh, come on! I want to know.
I'll type it.
Are they still together?
Yes. Yeah.
No, but here's the thing.
Wait, let me guess. Can I guess?
No. Let's not guess. What if he was talking you up a lot to the girlfriend before?
Maybe, yeah.
Because that seems
and again, I don't know what's going on in their life. And
I'm thinking maybe, and maybe there's a small chance that behind the scenes he was really talking you up. The fact that he's been watching you for quite some time, maybe there is something there. The girlfriend caught. I'm not saying it's right.
But guess what?
Devil's advocate here.
Men are allowed to like women's content. I remember one of the most attractive things about my fiance John was he was like, oh, my favorite YouTuber is Lily Singh, and he it's gonna sound crazy, but he had interest. He wasn't a super bro, and he would like things you're allowed to like women's content. It doesn't mean that you're sexually attracted to them. Okay, I'm gonna write this down.
Oh. That's yeah. Jeez.
Yeah. And
what?
And so and this is someone who is so loved by the community, and I just have this weird damn, you I
guess I don't know the situation. I have there has to be more that we're just not aware of, because to me that seems from that person,
he shouldn't have explained it in depth in paragraphs. He was literally I was here for her on this trip, so it doesn't look good that he was with another girl recording a video. And So
That's so odd. But see, the thing for me is it's so far fetched that I want to rationalize and be like, well, it's because of this. And
this is why I would never publicly say it, because like
you can get a lot of views.
but
Think of it.
But
a million
This
views
clip would go viral.
I would instantly become the enemy, because I mean, you understand who that is.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
they have
know.
so many,
Wow, that is
fans.
really surprising.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
but overall, things like that can happen, and then you just take it, whatever. But overall, the actual tech YouTube space is amazing. I mean, the people I've had opportunities to collaborate, like iJustine, Austin Evans, Marquez, everyone is so cool in this space. So I feel super thankful that I landed in tech YouTube and not in like commentary YouTube or mainstream YouTube, because I've had interactions with some of those people, and it's very different. So finance YouTube, super nice.
Yeah.
So.
What are some of the things you've learned from some of those other people? Like meeting Marquez.
Oh my
that
God,
would be
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Like is he the top or?
I would say Marquez and Linus.
Okay.
Linus is awesome. I'm going through some drama with him right now, but it's like
Good drama?
it's
Oh, let's hear the drama. I
yeah.
wanna hear the
So
drama.
Lab 22 is the desk accessory brand I just launched. We've been working on it for over a year. There is so much leading up to this. I talked about it for the first time like 2 months ago, but it was just an email list, so it wasn't a lot of announcements. So we've been leading up to this. He floated a name of his new big project, his testing facility where they're going to review tech really technically, and it's going to be awesome. But they were like, okay, guys, we finally got some names that we're going to float. And this was Friday. And he was like, what do you guys think about Lab 32? And literally, that's when I was starting to like get ready for the launch and all this stuff. And, we launched Monday, only 2 days after that Lab 22. And so like half of my comments everywhere are like, Sara, what about Lab 32? And it's like, it's become this thing on Twitter. And it's the name. We almost have like the same exact name of like new brands that we've been launching. So it's not, but we're friends and we've collabed. And so we've been going back and forth very cordially. So that's some recent fun stuff. So we'll have to figure that out.
And
but
did he know that your thing was Lab?
there's no
Probably
way. I mean,
not.
it was, I shouted out the email list. So I said it maybe twice before. I definitely first, but there's no way that he could have known. So it was really just extremely bad luck. And so I could tell that they were like, oh, how committed are you to this? And I'm like, have you seen the Kickstarter? Have you seen the beautiful website? And it's funny because like there's some brand overlap and stuff, but we'll figure it out.
How did you come up with the name? Lab 22?
Yeah, Lab 22.
Yeah.
So we started with That Creative Life, which is the name of my podcast, but legally, and I was like hot off of a lawsuit about names and stuff. So I was like, I don't want any issues with the name. So That Creative Life wasn't going to work out. And then we were like, desk accessories, like when I'm editing late at night, I'm like in the lab, right? And then I was like, we're launching in 2022. 22 has always been my number. So I played basketball in high school. I was a big basketball player. So, I have all these jerseys with the number 22. So I was like, oh, Lab 22. Trick out your lab and 22. So that's why. It's not super complex, but
And how did you pick 32?
It gosh, I forgot what he said on the podcast, but I think off of some like retro computer system or something. And it does make sense for their brand.
Yeah.
Like they're building a tech lab where they can test things out. So I totally understand why it's
Why don't you
like
just
labs.
call it Tech 32?
Because it really is like a lab,
That's a lab. Okay.
But I think a lot of people are like, oh, LTT Labs, or something like MIT Labs.
Yeah, I like that.
LTT Labs, because their channel's
Yeah.
LTT. So
It sounds just like a coincidence. I
it
think
was a
there's a lot of
coincidence. Yeah,
coincidences like
we
that.
came in hot with the other drama. This is actually, I'm friends with him, so it's not like real drama. It's everyone on Twitter that's making it drama. So people are just confused. So I think he's going to mention in his podcast Friday. So it shouldn't. Yeah. I'm such a big fan of this pod. I literally send them notes of things that we could talk about because I'm like, I never get to talk about finance stuff on my channel.
Yeah,
so
this is amazing.
hopefully it was a good pod for everyone.
Yeah.
But
What questions do you have for us?
Yeah. I mean, I would love to hear more about your journey to this, like, oh, let's focus, let's get back to the basics, right? Did that affect how you're going to make YouTube videos? Like, are you going to make a different style for your main channel, or how does that manifest into the main channel?
I'm just less stressed out.
Okay.
No, there were a few things that just, I'm stressed out. I'm just thinking, I remember I had to plan a video, and I had to sign some it's something stupid. I just had to like sign some papers, and I really got down to it. It's like I don't like doing that. And everyone that we have on the podcast, almost everyone, is telling me, Graham, you should do this and you should do that, and if you hire this and you grew this business over here, you'd make so much more money. And at the end of the day, it's like it was just pulling my attention away, and it made me realize that like I am not like I don't consider myself like a business owner. I don't have a desire to run a business. I don't have a desire to have a whole bunch of employees.
So,
and I'm just like, where I'm really the happiest is like sitting on the couch making a video without anything else to think about.
Creating things.
Yeah. And so when I really put into perspective, it's like, okay, I could do these other things. Is it really worth my time to do these things compared to what I could just be doing without that stress? And so I started cutting like one thing after another. It started with the vlog, and that was just, that wasn't a business, but it was just cutting down. Then, Millennial Money was just something where it's, I wanted that time back. And I just, I just wanted to have something where I didn't have to think about it. And just one less thing that's just on my shoulders. And it felt so good in terms of like everything that I cut just felt like a weight was lifted. And so I kept doing it. And pretty soon, I sold off one rental property, loved it. That was great. I'm selling off another one. These are the first ones I bought, so it's nothing big, but
man, I love this energy. Yes. And it's like, sure, the 80-20 principle. That's what I kept going back to. I'm like, 20% of the work I'm doing over here is resulting in 80% of my outcomes. So why not I just focus on that, and everything else is just noise. That's why I stopped my podcast. One day it might come back, but now I've made peace where I see it as a body of work. I've interviewed like 125 legendary people. Let that be what it is, And so I feel you. So on the other side, what would be your ideal, like, for Graham Stephan Enterprises, if you could do whatever you want with his business, what would it be? Because I feel like you're on the opposite side of the spectrum.
It's just like allowing Jack to be like, hey, you run it.
If I could like transform
if you could
his
run,
business,
if you could run all of his stuff, what would that look like?
Well, it's hard because I don't know what exactly his like day-to-day looks like, but if I'm taking it from what he's told me, it's just basically like planning and like filming and reviewing and stuff like that. I would just say, figure out where most of the time is going, see if you can find someone to potentially trim the fat on that and somehow like make it faster and more efficient, and then make that happen. Because I know for Graham right now, and this is something I brought up, but like it's very hard for him to take time off, at least like extended periods of time, like 3-4 days. Same. You know what I mean? Like he can do like one day here and there, but I would like, if something were to happen, some crazy opportunity, he can go take advantage of it and go somewhere for 3-4 days, or someone can potentially present him with like let's say one script with 3 different variations of different parts. And then he can say, oh, I like this, or maybe it's 80% done and he could just do like the 20% on the top of that or something like that.
I will say that, the script thing is hard because I try to get help with script and I'm like, it's not me. This is me is that. So I understand that. But then, you want to feel like you can be able to go somewhere. And I attribute my entire career to serendipity. In the beginning, I just said yes to everything and it's still paying dividends. And so I think having a healthy balance of both of those worlds is good. Yeah. I really love working though. I mean, that's the thing. It's like for me, traveling anywhere is usually just an inconvenience. And it's like, oh man, I gotta go somewhere. Like I just went to Santa Barbara and it would be such a quick trip for you and Macy. I went there with John, my fiance, and it was amazing. The beaches in Santa Barbara are gorgeous. It was the first time I disconnected in maybe 2 years. And so I feel like you're so close to just so many pretty beaches and places. You could probably start bopping over to. But you got to do
but I have a little bit more free time now that I've cut a lot of the other stuff. It's just less to think about.
And then also when you are, because I had to stop feeling stressed about not taking a break. And so once you can free your mind of like, I like working, so I'm going to continue to work until maybe I should take a break. And so now that I've taken the stress off of the pressure of like, you should take a break and all that stuff, it's much better.
Yeah. But what would you, so you would just hire a scripter, really?
I would look into it. That's the thing. It's like, you really haven't looked into it that much. So you could say it's not possible, but we really don't know. But here's the thing. I mean, like, I thought all of the other things Graham was doing on the side, that was a lot. And he was definitely seemed like he was really stressed out and losing focus on the stuff that really mattered. Yeah. But now, since he has dropped all of those things, and it does seem like he's at a place where his workload's very manageable, I think that's totally fine. And if he really does like enjoy scripting and stuff like that, I see no problem with it. I don't know if there's really much I would change now.
Yeah. The hardest part for me is topics. Scripting, if I had a topic that was presented to me every morning, like do this and it will do well, I could do that so well. But it's figuring out the topics and the angle that will make it do well. So.
And that's YouTube, and that's what makes it so hard. I have so many ideas, but I don't have so many thumbnails and titles. So much gets left on the cutting room floor. So.
Yeah, Jeremy's actually been helping me with some video topics. He'll throw me the topics that he thinks would make a good video that he wouldn't cover. Maybe it's just not his stock market audience. So the China video, he started sending me these videos. It was hey, this is a really interesting video. Check this out. And I started like doing a lot of research. But if it wasn't for Jeremy sending me that at like 11 p.m. at night on like a weekday, and I'm like looking at this, I'm like, Macy, look at this video, and I'm showing her this like some incredible thing.
Who are you doing your Twitter?
No.
Okay, because that is something I've noticed, because I am so on Twitter, and I'm like, Graham is stepping up his Twitter, and it's working.
So speaking of that, that is the only person who I think I would ever trust with a script, and he's helped me with research. I got to do a huge chat. I just have to shout him out. It's called the Market Sentiment Blog. I'll link to him down below in the description. Just seriously, it's free. It costs you nothing. Just go and check it out. He's a blog that I referenced in a video like a year ago. And I referenced him as this person who compiled this research. I'm like, it's so good that I mentioned it in a video, and then I linked to him in the description. And I think I emailed him, or he emailed me. I was like, dude, thank you so much for that shout out. We just gained 5,000 new subscribers to our page. It like doubled. This is incredible. I was like, yeah, no, his blog is so good, and he posts once a week. And so I kept just like shouting out his blog because he had so much good research, and I would just go there and then reference what he found and say, hey guys, just check this out. It's down below in the description. And we kept talking. And then he made me the pitch and says, Graham, you have scripts for your videos. Why don't you create a newsletter and I'll do it for you?
Smart.
And so, and from that, he's been perfect. Like he'll take my script, but then take it a step further and then create his own graphs for like the research that I found.
That's so good.
And then we've gone back and forth, and then he took over the Twitter, but the Twitter is so good. We grew from, I think it was 50,000 to 130,000.
Wow.
Twitter followers in like 3 months,
That's
4
amazing.
months. Something like that. And, I'm so happy to give him like any promotion whatsoever. Just because his information is good, but he's someone I would trust.
Yeah. And that's good.
He's helped me with research. Like he's even come to me and says, Graham, if you want to do a video on this topic, like I'll help you research on it.
And I think that's
he's been fantastic.
And I think that's the best way to find people for us is like people who naturally integrate and don't just say, hey, what can I do?
Yeah.
But it's like, hey, I will do this, this, and this, and you only have to say yes. And because I know you were adamant about emailing Graham in the beginning. That was a funny story. Yeah. But like, I think that's so helpful for people if you admire someone or there's an entrepreneur or YouTuber that you want to work with. Don't email them and just say, hey, I'll do anything. Say, hey, I notice your podcast doesn't have clips on TikTok. Here's some examples that you can post right now free of charge. If you want to put me on a monthly retainer to have, these clips every single month, hit me up. It's this price. If you make it so easy for them to say yes, like a lot of stuff can happen that way.
Market Sentiment Blog. I'll link to it down below in the description.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
One more question.
Yeah.
If you have time. I feel like finance YouTube overall is going through an interesting thing because I went so ham on it during COVID, right? Because, oh my God, it's so crazy. And, you have everything. But now it seems like, okay, inflation, market's down. What is new? Right? Yep. Are you feeling that fatigue on your side just like personally?
Oh gosh.
Okay.
If you're feeling it, I'm feeling it 10 times worse.
Yeah, because I'm like, how do you like mentally like wake up and be like, how am I going to talk about this in a YouTube video?
The good news is that if I set a goal and I say, no matter what, the day doesn't end until I finish a video, I'll finish a video. It's never been an issue of that. Because the thing is, I know 100%. There's always like 30 topics that I could revert back to. If there's truly nothing, they're evergreen videos. So it's like I can make another video on passive income. I can
Credit
make another.
cards.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, those do well because nobody goes back and watches the videos that I posted like 3 years ago. So unless you get that recommended, you're never seeing it. And most new subscribers will never see those videos. So they're missing out on that. So every now and then I do try, usually once a year, I try to go back through videos that I think are important, remake them better, and make them updated. So let's say it's like the top 5 ETFs that you could buy of 2019. Well, you know, even though it's might be pretty similar today, we could improve the video, make it funnier, make it more interesting, and bring it up to date. And the funny thing is too, people think that the videos that I've done in like 2018 are no longer valid. Be like, oh, dividends, that's 2018, markets changed. It's almost like you have to make a new video on that for people to think it applies.
That's a good point.
So so there's always like probably 20 topics realistically that I could make if there's truly nothing. And I do that. So usually like once every other week, there'll be one of those videos, and then it kind of fills the space in between the time. But yeah, there's definitely not a lot to talk about. So, you know, I would like to pivot, I think, at some point, but, you know, I think it'll just happen naturally.
Yeah. Glad you have the podcast. I mean, that keeps things new.
Yeah, I like the flow. I think we got a good flow. They trickle in through the main channel. Sometimes they'll dabble in the second channel a little bit, some reactions. By the time they make it to the podcast, though, and the podcast, I really hope is growing its own audience. I have a feeling there's a lot of probably like 80% overlap, but I'd love for the podcast to have more of its own demographic that's separate, where they're like, who's Graham?
I could totally see that. Yeah, because you're bringing in new people all the time. And I mean, I think it's great. No, don't stop the podcast, guys.
Oh, God, no. Honestly, I would say the podcast would be the... Well, I don't want to jinx it now. I feel like I'm going to jinx it. I'm going to jinx it. No, the podcast, I think has a lot of longevity. There's a lot to the podcast that I really enjoy.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah, and it's cool now with the podcast. So sometimes I get a little bummy if we post an episode and it doesn't do that well. But now I feel like we have so many different faucets for like growth. We've been doing Instagram reels of the podcast.
I've been seeing your TikToks.
Yeah. Oh, God, the TikTok.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? My dad sends me he's like, he gets recommended the TikToks. Yeah. Randomly, he's like, I saw this TikTok. I thought it was really good. I'm like, you're on TikTok? And then like, you got recommended that? Like, he's not searching this out. Like, he got recommended that?
That's amazing.
On TikTok. Be like, hey, Dad, imagine this gets clipped up.
Did you know, fun fact, did you know TikTok recommends based on like location?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're like an aspiring filmmaker, it would be wise to like post your TikToks when you're in LA or something. I just learned that.
I get a lot of Las Vegas TikToks.
Yeah.
But so we've been doing Instagram, Facebook. We're in the process of Snapchat.
Good. Yeah. I've heard people make good money.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy, like the amount of reach that you can get on all of these other platforms. But it's also interesting to note that they don't really like trickle down into the podcast.
That's what I was saying. I was like, all of these views, but what does it do? Yeah. However, if your face is on there, it's brand equity. You're building brand awareness.
But it's hard because it's like this false sense of confidence that you get because it's like, hey,
there is real value to it. So for example, like if you're reaching out for a potential guest on the podcast, you can say, hey, on average, our videos will get, or each episode will get 30 million views of reach, and you're including all of your short form and everything, and all they care about is the reach.
Look at the YouTube video, and it's like 20,000 views.
No, but the thing is, like at the end of the day, if we're having a guest on that's of that level, where you actually need to pitch it to them, all they really care about is reach.
That's very true.
Have some product or service.
It's superficial stuff. So it's like, what's your follower count? What's your view count? I agree with you on that, but
it makes
I agree.
Yeah, it makes it a lot more attractive, especially if we can disperse it on all of these different platforms. They have confidence that like, okay, I can be seen on all of these different platforms with all these different populations or viewer demographics, and that's a lot more interesting to them.
No, that's a great point.
Really briefly, I'm not trying to plug anything or anything, but no, I'm not. I promise.
Sponsored by Lexar.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's what I was going to bring up.
Andrew, cut this out.
Last podcast, people were like, I can't believe Alex got a sponsor. Like, I just have to point it out, guys. It's kind of a joke, but also kind of
It
not
is
a joke.
certainly not a joke.
No,
Alex.
no,
Don't
but-
you dare act like it's a joke.
Okay,
It's a joke.
but
it's so hilarious, man.
So
I love
funny that
it.
they
Yeah.
deposit money in your bank account. on
No, but
our
let's be honest.
podcast.
Before I brought anything, I did float the idea around, and we agreed as long as it wasn't anything too crazy.
I will say the wedding thing shook me to my core.
Did
So
you
you're
agree or
against
disagree
you're
with
against it.
I was shocked that was even a thought, to be honest.
Are you serious? I thought it was a good idea.
I was like, I get it. Now, after listening to it, I could understand how you could get to that point. But I feel like a wedding is like such a pure thing, or that you try to keep that way, that I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like that would be
Until
so
you see
crazy.
the cost of the venue,
you have to
catering,
remember. Yeah,
drinks.
you also have to remember. Like when people ask my wife, like, "Oh, you got married?" She's like, "Yeah, we got married in December because of tax purposes." And like you have to remember like who you're dealing with. You know.
Wait, what are reasons to get married in a certain month because tax purposes?
Doesn't matter as long as you're married by the end of the
Yeah. So
calendar year.
because here's the thing, we were gonna get married in 2022.
Okay.
But it was the end of 2021. I had just started my own business. I had all this income. We're in like this tax bracket where we're not maxing out. And so
okay.
by getting married, we got a tax break. Yeah.
Yeah, Alex literally realized that as I was just sitting at my desk. I'm like, you can save money with the being married. And he's like, what? I have to propose. And it was probably like, honestly,
Jack, do not throw me under the bus.
I wouldn't put this up there, seriously.
it was like 30 seconds that lapsed between.
No, you could put it up. You could
Really?
put it up.
Yes, it's funny. Yeah.
All right.
But
Really
he knew
good.
he was going to
Yeah.
do it anyways, but it was just
Yeah.
December.
Yeah, I told Jack, I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I knew I was going to do it anyway, but
We're
you know,
probably,
now's the time.
I'm probably eloping because of how expensive things are. But yeah,
Yeah.
I've been engaged for almost 2 years now. We got engaged February 2020, right before the pandemic in New York. It's tragic
What are your
timing.
plans for getting married?
We're just saying, let's go back to New York, just rooftop dinner, small ceremony with just immediate family.
I
Because
love
like
that.
That's nice.
I'm not a planner, and so I'm not a planner. John's not a planner, and so we just haven't gotten married because of that.
Yeah.
So we would love to get married, but we just need to do something simple.
Yeah.
COVID complicated
That
things.
makes sense.
Yeah. Eli Jones, thank you so much for supporting that Patreon. You make a difference, and you are the reason why they wake up in the morning.
That's true. All right. Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so
coming
much.
on. Really
Thanks.
appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me.
JLSSELBY on Instagram. Good night.
And
everyone.
make sure to get your
And
free
that's
stock
it.
down below in the
Thank you.
description.
Make sure to
Shout
buy
out.
some Lexar
Public.com/.
stuff.
Thanks, guys.